Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. The following is the live call-in show from this past Sunday night, September 29th, 2024. During the show, Scotty G joins us and we take your calls for the next hour, and we end up talking about a few topics. We talked a little Disney Cruise Line. We had a call. Ian calls in from Pittsburgh to talk about the differences between Royal Caribbean cruises and Disney cruises. And so we have a great discussion there because Scott did back-to-back Royal cruises this summer. Thomas calls in from out in Cleveland. He sailed concierge on the Disney Wish, gives us his thoughts on that. And we also talk about what guests back in 15 or 20 years ago would think about things today in the parks. What things would shock them, both in a good or bad way. Things like lightning lanes or the Skyliner or mobile ordering. So we have a good discussion with our chat room and callers on that as well. So we really hope you enjoy the Disney Talk over the next hour. Don't forget our podcast always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link as you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so much for your support over on Patreon. Our Patreon supporters are the lifeblood of our show. So if you support us over there, thank you so much for that. If you haven't yet, we'd love to have you. It's just $5 a month. And for that, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Coming over this week, we'd love to have you. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the BOGP Open Line for Sunday night, September 29th, 2024. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com. And one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Hope you're having a great weekend. We are back. The dynamic duo back together tonight to take your calls at 407-413-9395. That's 407-413-9395. The hour is yours. We can talk mini trip reports. We can take trip planning questions. But I have a question of the night coming to you here in just a second, but we got to get to my co-host, my good friend, my partner in crime for all my Disney adventures, hashtag Scotty G. Scott, we missed you last week, but you were saving the world down in Nashville. So glad to have you back. What's up, Scott?
Hey, happy Sunday, Mike. That's what my team does. I'm glad the show can move on without me, though. So good job. I felt bad bailing on you last second, but the other work had to be a priority that night.
Got to pay the bills, man.
You said that date, September 29th, and it got me thinking, shout out to our friend Neil. It's his 40th birthday today. Like, have a great one. Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the old man's club.
Yep, he's finally joined us. And then September 29th, I was like, I know that date. It is the release of the Nintendo 64, I think 28 years ago. I got mine a day early at Toys R Us. Do you remember like buying games at Toys R Us?
I remember Toys R Us, and like you had to get the little slip. But see, you had
to get the slip, and they go in the back room.
This is the problem with having you as a best friend. This is seriously because you're 10 years younger than me. You're making me feel old because I had a Commodore 64. Like, I didn't even have a Nintendo because, like, I had an Atari 2600. So you shut up because you're making me feel old. So stop. Go ahead.
My brother's, I have an older brother that who's not far off from you. So. And I did everything with him. But yeah, so like we went to Toys R Us. You had to get the slip, right?
Yeah,
and then like you would take it to the register, you pay, and then you went back to this like secret area, like in the store, and they'd go and get it. And like that was like the first system I bought. So like, I mean, we had an Atari, a NES, a Super NES, but like this is like the first system like I recall as a kid, like so psyched up for it because I was like a teenager. I was like 13 or something. And man, it was awesome. Like I was so excited for the N64. Probably one of the weakest systems Nintendo ever made, but like it had the new like 360-degree functionality and all that. It was, and some good games came out of it. But yeah, when you said that date, I was like, oh my God, it's the N64 day.
That's all. See, my dad didn't let me get a Nintendo because he said those cartridges are super expensive, and I ran a BBS on my Commodore 64 for years and years, which meant people called through the phone lines and uploaded and downloaded pirated software, and so everything was free. Yeah, I never paid for a game, and I had hundreds and hundreds of games, which shouldn't have had that, but I was 12, 10, 15. I don't know. And that's just how we exchange software. So he's like, well, that's an expensive way to go. But yeah, everybody else had them, and go over to their house and play Mario. And I never got into Zelda. That was too confusing and
It's
like
the
all
best.
that. I know
I love
everybody.
Zelda.
I mean, people who love Zelda, but I never got into it. I think because I didn't have one. I think you really had to have it to focus on it. You couldn't kind of play it casually.
It's a great series, but yeah, happy to be here Sunday night. Shout out to Mallory for Homecoming. She looked great.
Oh, I'm glad that's
we
over.
did that the weekend before, so like Homecomings are like out of the way already. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's not even October.
I'm glad. And also we're thinking of all the friends down in the Southeast that had to deal with Hurricane Helene. I mean, that was pretty horrific for the folks in the Carolinas and Georgia and Florida. And just hope those communities recover quickly, because that was pretty devastating. East Tennessee and stuff like that. Pretty big mess.
Yeah.
So let's get on with the show. So I have a question for tonight, and I was thinking about this because I know you follow this gentleman. He really kind of breaks the news right away. Reliable source. If you ever want to follow somebody on the social media, Scott Gustin. I think Disney seeds him with all the information right away just so he can put it out there.
You wonder about that sometimes, don't you? Yeah.
I think they do. And he put out a tweet today, something to the effect of like, it's like 3 hours ago, actually, as we're recording. And I couldn't agree more. As I was eating my Taco Bell pre-show, as I pregame for the podcast, as I do on Sunday nights, I was reading through there, and it said something like, somebody at Disney needs to just have some guts. And I think he posted this like about back in 23, like about a year ago, and he reposted it tonight. Somebody at Disney needs to just have some guts, scrap the spreadsheets, and just bring back basically live entertainment. I think he said the folks, the people on Main Street USA, the citizens of Hollywood, stuff like that. And I couldn't agree more, because you're right. You're not going to see like, lightning lanes have a definite return on investment. You can see like X's and O's, and you can see like, okay, this costs $18. How many people are buying it? You can really see it. You can't really see monetarily the return on your investment with things like live entertainment, with the folks that are entertaining folks on Main Street, Citizens of Hollywood, so forth. But you could do this almost immediately. You could have this out there within a couple of weeks, a month at the most. And I just think he said it would be a goodwill gesture. I agree so much. And when I thought about this over my chili cheese burrito tonight, I got to thinking, let's play a little Back to the Future tonight. Let's go back in time 10 or 15 years. Okay, so let's go back to, 2015, 2012. Just pick a year. We all were still going to the parks back then. And pick, September 29th, 2011, 2012, we're at Epcot. And we go up to somebody and we tell them the state of the park is, things that are happening in the parks right now. Like, what things do you think people from 2011, 2012, 2015, whatever, would find the most unbelievable if you told them that? Like, you would have the hardest time having them believe that these things are either true, good, or bad. Because there's some things that could be good, like Rise of the Resistance, maybe. They're like, I can't believe an attraction is that long, that involved. I mean, that's a good thing, maybe. The lights on Spaceship Earth, I think, is like something that's a great addition. That's, if you showed them that on like a video, they'd be like, holy cow, that's really amazing. I thought that'd be a good thing. But my biggest thing is, and I'm just going to give my one thing, because I want people to call in tonight and give their one thing, because there's probably tons. But it's the lightning lane single pass, or the individual lightning lane thing. I was thinking about this. If you went up to somebody in 2011 and said, okay, you're paying nowadays to get into a theme park. Let's just throw a round number out there, like $100 to get into said theme park, Epcot, Studios, Magic Kingdom, whatever. Probably more than that for a single day ticket. And then you want to go on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train without a huge wait. You're going to pay another $18 for that one ride. Like, we've got conditioned to where we just kind of do that sometimes. But if you told that to somebody in isolation back in 2011, do you think that would be something that would be almost like, what?
Right.
I think that would have shocked me back in 2011 if you'd have told me that on top of your very expensive park admission, if you want to ride this one roller coaster, which isn't like the craziest roller coaster in the world, it's a great roller coaster. It's a nice little themed attraction. because it's going up in price, by the way, in October. They're raising the price on a few of them, individual lightning lanes by $1. $18 more to ride that ride without a super long wait. I just think that would be shocking to people 15 years ago. So do you kind of get my gist for my question of the night? Like what kind of things would shock people? So do you have anything that you're thinking of with that?
I mean, I had a long list. When you said they're both good and bad, right? But when you started talking about Gustin's tweet originally about like the entertainment, there was a positive though. Like Buradika is back, like at Animal Kingdom, which was a huge win.
Did you see the video today? I mean, everybody was dancing. There's a video. I mean, it was awesome. Everybody was into it.
Yeah. I remember I bought this actually, like, I don't even think I'm kidding here because I haven't bought like a CD in like forever because they don't make CDs. I think that's the last CD I bought. I bought one of their CDs at the gift shop right there. And I played that thing so much. Like, this is like how old school it was. Like, I had to like rip it onto like my iPod so I could like listen to it and stuff. Like, it was just, they're unbelievably entertaining. And that was such painful to see them gone. But now it's so great to see them back. So hopefully that's a sign that we're heading in the back direction, in the good direction. But to your question, so like I don't know, that was a good one, man. I want to hear what the listeners have to say. There could be so many things you could say, but if I told someone that like, hey, when you book your trip and staying in a Walt Disney World hotel, guess what? In like 10 years, you're not going to have Magical Express or those 3-hour, extra magic hours. Like that kind of would have blown my mind a little bit because that was like how they like sold you to stay on site, right? All those on-site perks, and like a lot of them are gone now, and that would just like blow me away if someone told me that 10 years ago.
I agree. I mean, I just thought Magical Express was built in forever and ever, infinitely. Like that was just part of the deal. Like that it went away, and I know COVID happened, but I mean, it was just it just never came back.
Well,
we have
so many people use it. That was like I still think that's one of the most painful things we've lost like over the years. It really is, because like I know we get questions on it all the time. Like people talk about it on the social media. It's like, man, like, because that's that extra step you have to do now. We all love staying on site, but now you got to figure like, now I got to rent a car, or I got to figure out how to get there. And then I just bundled that in with extra magic hours because that was all like resort perks, and there's still good perks. Like I mean, I still always stay on site, even though with the loss of those perks. But man, that was painful.
Well, what Magical Express gave you, and caller, we know you're there, so hang tight 1 second. But what Magical Express gave you was your vacation started when you got to your home airport back into like Detroit for you, St. Louis for me, because as soon as I dropped my bags, I didn't have to worry about anything. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to worry about catching that Uber down at MCO or grabbing my bags on the belt down at MCO. Like, I was chill from that point on. Like, seriously.
And there were some nightmare stories with them. Like, they were very rare, though, right? Where like your luggage got missed and you didn't get the next day, which is bad. But very, very rarely did that happen. Man, do I miss that. But it sounds like we have a caller, you said, right?
We do. And they're being very patient. So thank you for your patience. Hey, who's joining us?
Hey, this is Ian from Pittsburgh. How are you guys?
Hey, going well. Sorry about your Steelers taking your first L today, but I mean, it happens and you move on.
Oh, I know. And I'm sure you heard about that Auburn game. That was bad too.
Oh, I was not going to bring that up because I watched that happen while I was eating rolls at Texas Roadhouse last night. And I was like, oh man, Auburn is Auburn.
I know.
I was like, oof. Yeah, I know.
I'm a little worried when we play Mizzou. So I'm not, well, I know you're going to have bragging rights and that's okay. I probably won't call in that week.
Okay. Yeah. We don't assume anything at Mizzou. And just hope Hugh Freeze is still the coach. All right. So what's on your mind?
I know the Vandy thing was probably, it stung a little bit, I'm sure.
Oh, dude.
Especially if Emily ends up going there.
I can't see Scott being an SEC family, but miracles happen. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it could happen. It could happen.
If they want to pay part of that tuition, that'd be really good with me. That's pricey.
You know what? You're not wrong about that. That's steep. It's a little more expensive than Michigan State or in-state, in-state Michigan State.
Yeah, this is like a private. Yeah. So I think it was like, not to say numbers, but I think it was like $95K a year.
Oh my God! Stop! You gotta give me a warning before you start throwing stuff like that.
Mike had like a minor heart attack there.
Clear. God, stop. Oh my gosh. So what's going on, Ian? But do you have anything for our question of the night though? Like if you'd go back 15 years and you went to present something good or bad to folks that's the state of the parks now, what would shock people the most?
Oh gosh, yeah, I caught the tail end of that, and so yeah, Magical Express for sure. That was such a nice perk that we had for sure. I mean, when that got taken away, that was a big stab to the heart, I feel like. And also like Fast Pass was such a nice thing while it lasted. We all kind of knew that was gonna, go by the wayside, but while it lasted, it was so amazing. And I remember when my kids, when we first started taking them, like my husband would even go run and go grab the paper Fast Passes out of the machine. And I kind of miss those days. Like he would wear a little lanyard around his neck and he would go, I remember in Magic Kingdom, he would like sprint and like go grab it out of like Thunder Mountain. And, he would grab the Fast Passes and like, I kind of miss those days.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So if Disney asked you today, should we go back to the old kiosks where you went around and inserted you could scan your phone or whatever, but you went to an actual physical machine, had to go to the attraction, get a paper return ticket because you had to physically like invest a little bit of effort to get that Fast Pass. Would you do that? I mean, I think I would. I mean, because
I would, but I mean, I'm your age. I was going to say I'm old, but I'm your age. So, I mean, I like that nostalgia of, I don't always want to be on my phone. I feel like in today's day and age, we're always on our phone. And I feel like that old way of just the way we used to do it was just simpler and it was more straightforward. I mean, for people that are not, like maybe the next generation up from us, maybe in their 70s or whatever, there's just no way they're going to be on their phones all the time booking the lightning lanes and the multi-pass and everything. I like the simplicity and it kind of put everybody on a level playing field, but they're never going to go back to that.
No, they're not. But it is a shot of nostalgia because I remember back in those days, I had one of those Nokia candy bar phones. I mean, this was pre-iPhone.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Because I would set, because remember, like at the very bottom of those little paper Fast Passes, it would say your next Fast Pass is available at like 10:13 a.m. or whatever. So I would set my little
way ahead
alarm.
Of me. I didn't even have a smartphone back then, and so
it wasn't very smart. I don't even know if that was considered a smartphone, but I mean, it had an alarm on it. Like I'd set a little alarm, and I'd be like in Pirates, and be like beep 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 beep, and I'd be like, then my family was like, okay, you got to go run to, see you later. You got to run to Big Thunder, go get us. And then I'd collect everybody's cards, Key to the World cards, and there I was the pack mule or whatever to get everybody's tickets. But I didn't care, it was like you were investing time, and then you could use. Back then, they didn't care about the return times. You could use them at night.
Change for people like us is hard, right?
Amen.
Because I'm even like thinking about like the new things that are coming, like with the Cars stuff. Like my oldest son, like his favorite movie is Cars, and so he's totally excited. But we're going to lose stuff like Tom Sawyer Island and the Rivers of America. So everything, there's the good with the bad, and so I mean the old Fast Pass. I'm not sure. Like there was, I don't know. I loved that way that we did it. And I guess some people would say it's more streamlined now being on the phone, but I miss that old way of just like being able to run and grab it. And it was just easy. It was simple. And it was like really easy to explain to people. I mean, imagine like, when we're playing Disney panelists, we have to explain to people like how to do Genie Plus, or when it was Genie Plus, and now it's a multi-pass lightning lane, explaining how to do that to people that have never been. It's really complicated. It's complicated.
It's wordy.
So, so it's hard.
I can't. Yeah, you guys have a rough job because I get it because I do the same thing. Like it is for somebody it's confusing to people like us that are in this. You know what I'm saying? Like lightning lane multi-pass, lightning lane single pass. Like why is it got to sound so... It's a vacation. You know what I'm saying? Like it's supposed to be fun. Like it's just stressful. I mean, it's stressful for everybody.
It is stressful. I think that turns people away too, because they're like, okay, this is just too much. Like my friend was going to Disney. This was last year, and she was going to Disney World, and then she planned a trip to Disneyland, and she paid for my lunch. And she's like, look, we're going to sit down. This is going to be an hour conversation. She brought a notebook, and she's like, I'm going to take notes. You just tell me what I need to do. And so I explained to her for an hour. It was great because I got my lunch paid for. But, she was like, and she did a great job, like she did follow all my directions. But for somebody to have to do, take notes for an hour to understand how to do a Disney trip, that's a lot for some people. It's too much for some people. And they're just like, you know what, I'll just go to Gatlinburg instead, or I'll go to, to the beach. And so it's kind of sad because it does turn people off because it gets to be too complicated.
But see, I think Disneyland, even though, and that's what's weird because Disneyland has it has Lightning Lane multi-pass.
It's easier.
But it's easier, right? Scott, I mean, do you feel the same thing? Because, I mean, it's basically, it's just Genie Plus out there, but Disneyland feels easier. It's not as complicated, but it's still really the same thing. Honestly, it's almost apples to apples, but it just seems, I guess, because of the density of the attractions.
Probably. I think so. I haven't been to Disneyland since 2016. I need another trip out there, but I haven't used, there's the system out there since it's totally different since I've been there. But yeah, I think that it's just easier. It just seems easier because you can park hop so much easier, and so things are just simpler out there.
Cool. Well,
or you could just take a Disney cruise, and then it's a lot easier.
Oh, now you're on the right track. That is the correct answer. I mean, it's a lot more expensive, but hey, it's the way to go. I didn't mean to hijack your call though with that question. So what did you have on your mind?
Okay, so I do have something on my mind. So we just finished watching the last episode of Scott's vlog. So I just wanted to call in about that because, like we get excited when another episode drops. And my son's 16, so he's Mallory's age. He's like, hey, don't start watching that now because we like to watch that at dinner. So I want you to save it because my husband cheated up to watch it at like 4:30. And we had to save it for dinner time. And we just finished watching it. So we love it. Well, here's my question. Okay, well, first of all, my husband likes the pizza counter. That's always a topic of conversation, first of all. We love the pizza counter. We can't even imagine what it's going to get up to the second week. But the real question I have, because I'm like Mike in the sense that I sleep. I think because Mike and I run so much, like you have to recover and you have to sleep a lot, right? So I go to bed early. I get up fairly early. But like Scott's like, I'm walking around. It's like 12 a.m. And, and then he's getting up to see the sunrise, which really, I mean, it rises at like 4 a.m. So like, when are you sleeping is my question.
That's a great question.
Like,
first off, thanks for the support. Thank you for watching it. Oh my God. You just made my heart so happy saying the 16-year-old boy wants to tell the parents hey, wait a second, you can't watch that without me. That makes me so happy. That's a great question.
He goes, by the way, Emily looks really mad that she's being taped while she's trying to skate. He's like she didn't want her dad taping that.
That was I actually, a little behind the scenes. I asked her hey, remember that roller skating bit? Is it okay if I put some of that in there in the episode? Because I knew she was not happy. It's easy for me. If I have a bad moment, I know, okay, I'm editing this. I can just take that out because I did have a bad moment in that last episode. trying to find a place for a beer. I was kind of having a little meltdown myself even, but I took all that out. Maybe for a blooper reel in the future. Though. Yeah, but the Norway cruise. It was hard, right? Because it would be 3:30 in the morning, sunrises. And Ian, Mike, you all know, that's when you got to wake up for a sunrise on a cruise.
Absolutely.
There's nothing like them. Sunrise and sunset, you got to be awake.
You do.
And especially in Norway and the fjords and all that. So so I would stay up still though to 11 p.m. because the problem was it was still light outside. You would have to really tape the curtains closed, kind of a deal, right? I know our friend Joe does that.
Mike would be doing that. Mike would have the clips on the curtains, and he'd be like, "I'm going to bed," right?
Yeah. Because I have to have good sleep.
My boy here, Mike, though,
and he'd be like, "I'm going to bed."
I'll tell you, my boy Mike can stay up late on a cruise with me though, because we have fun, right? Because there's so many great activities happening at 10, 11 o'clock. And then Mike will just be like, oh, I got to run. But I think you do a midday nap sometimes.
I do. See, but then I'll do I'll go I do to, noon. I'll say there's a break from noon to 1:30. I'll be I'm going to taking a nap because we stay up, on the ship. The good news about Disney cruises, as opposed to Royal, is Disney cruises
Yeah.
pretty much everything is done by midnight. Like there's not like Royal will
Yes.
have stuff kicking past midnight for sure, but like Disney cruises,
Right.
there's not much happening after midnight. So I mean, you can still, if
I
you know
agree.
midnight to like 6, you can get a good 6. I usually don't get more than 6 hours of sleep, and then I'll get a
But
nap. Yeah.
But
Anyway,
but Ian, to your question, like so the next episode, like we'll wake up and we're in Southampton and we're not getting off the ship because
Yes.
we're going on another cruise. I don't think we woke up till like 8 or 9. I mean, there was some
Okay,
sleeping in
that's
happening like
good.
on a couple of those mornings. Like even on the sea days, we're like, I've seen the sunrise like 7 or 8 times already on this ship. Like I'm just gonna
Yeah, that's
bail out on
enough.
one.
I've seen the sun.
Yeah.
One of
But
my
thank you for
favorite
watching. I
moments,
love the
we all
support of the
laughed
channel. It's a
when,
lot of fun.
oh, go ahead. Was that?
No, I was just saying thanks for watching the channel. You know, that's a lot of fun for
Oh, we
me.
love it.
And
We
just
love
a
it. My
PSA for
husband
anyone
loves
that
it too.
watches, some of these European episodes, you'll see like some choppy film, and I've learned Elizabeth, my wife, was using like a different like rate, like frames per second, like video than mine. So then when I put some of her video in, it gets like kind of choppy. And as someone that likes to try to be a perfectionist, it drives me insane. And I can't ever get those files to convert. So be patient. You know, I have a new camera. If you watch the episode,
No,
you're gonna learn I have a new camera now. So all the
I
new
think
content
I
is
think
gonna be
it's
much
great.
better.
I think you're doing a great job. And
Thank you.
my husband said that too. Like, you're like, oh, I don't know about the editing. And we think you're doing a great job. Great job.
you.
I'm only
I
laughing because
appreciate
one
it.
of our favorite episodes was when you were in Norway and you're hiking around and there was like this lady, and that ended up being like several ladies, and they were dressed in like red or something, and they were doing a
Yes,
dance on the side of the mountain, and that made us
that was
all
great.
crack up.
Someone recently commented on that they thought that might have been the inspiration for Frozen 2, like how Elsa's like chasing that voice or whatever, and that it might have been like
Oh,
that
right.
lady on the mountain. I was like, oh my god, I love that theory. It's so good.
That's true.
Run with it.
Well, it's funny because I'm 40% Norwegian. I only know that because I do Ancestry.com. I know my great grandparents were Norwegian, but
Me too.
so I did an ancestry test, and I'm like, I really need to go to Norway sometime because I'm 40% Norwegian. And so that kind of inspired me to maybe do a cruise like that. But I'm kind of like Mike, where I'm very loyal to Disney. And so I guess my last question, because I don't want to tie your phone lines up for long, but what is your thought about like Disney versus Royal? Because I don't know. I'm so like tied. I've only done 3 Disney cruises, but I'm actually going to go on the Wish in November. But I'm so loyal to the brand, and I just know what I'm going to get. And like Mike said, like I don't need a casino, and I don't need the nightlife. I'm okay going to bed a little earlier. But do you feel like Royal was a better value for the price, and maybe for the itinerary that you got?
Yeah. I mean, that's a tough question to ask, and like just to keep it short, because I know that there's gonna be a lot of calls. Because I could do it. We are gonna do an episode on this.
Yeah, because I mean, I've
that,
sailed
like, when
both
we're all
too.
done.
Yeah, and I honeymooned on a Royal. So go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, but I will say though too, and like Mike can confirm this too. I want to say Disney goes to these same destinations too. Like I know
They
Disney
do.
sails out of Southampton.
Yep, they're taking the
and
fantasy
we have
over
a
there.
friend,
Okay.
Grace, I think that's going to do almost the exact itinerary that I just did
Mhm.
next summer on a Disney cruise. So that is available out there too. But yeah, I mean, it felt very similar. Like the class ship we were on felt very similar to the Dream, and I felt like
Okay.
I just got hooked. Like I figured out the layout immediately. It just felt so familiar. And I was like, why does this feel familiar? Like this feels very similar to the Dream. Like it's gonna be decorated differently.
Okay.
And like that was painful sometimes, right? Like, oh, that's not a Disney art piece, or that's not a Disney
Yeah.
background loop
Right.
they're playing, like there's no Disney characters, So that stuff kind of hurt. But I will say like cast like crew member wise, like I mean they were really great. And like our ship was out of Southampton, so you had a lot of like British people, which was kind of fun. A lot of British people were on the ship too, which was fun for us. But and that wouldn't be every Royal cruise, but I think because of the itinerary we did, it felt like less party atmosphere, if you know what I mean. Because like I have no other
Okay.
Royal cruise to compare it to, but I hear like sometimes like those like 3 or 4 nighters, like they're kind of like weekend cruises, might get kind of rowdy, with like drink packages and such.
Sure.
But this felt very family friendly. There was tons of families on our ship, and it
Okay.
felt great. Like it felt very familiar of a
That's good to
Disney
hear.
ship. And
Yeah,
I
that's
will
good to
say,
hear because I
we're going
kind
to
of
talk about,
assumed Royal would be a little more adult than Disney. So it's interesting to hear that perspective.
So
yeah. And
real
again, I
quick,
think because it could have been the itinerary on, right?
yours
I
especially.
did have
Yeah.
to pick.
So
What were you saying, Mike?
real quick though, so one time we did a podcast cruise where we did a 5-night on the Dream as a podcast cruise, and then we did a 7-night back to back with it on Freedom of the Seas on Royal. So we literally walked right off the Dream and went to the next port, just next door, and got on the Freedom of the Seas for 7 nights. So we did 12 nights of cruising and back to back out of Port Canaveral. And the makeup of the cruise was almost the same. It was a lot of families on Freedom of the Seas because it was out of Port Canaveral. A lot of families had gone to Disney. And the ship it reminded me more of like Vegas, like at the time it was the mega ship. Now it's not even close anymore with like Oasis and Allure and all them and Icon. But it was fun though. Like it wasn't Disney, but it was, like they had Shrek characters that came and did a parade, like it was, Shrek and Fiona and all them. And I mean,
Right.
they had like the village people because they had like a big mall down the middle of the ship. I mean, it was a full on mall with like Sorrento's Pizza Parlor. Dude, I ate so much pizza on that, just like Scott.
Well, let's see your pizza
So good.
tractor.
Oh my God. Yeah. I didn't even think about it back then, but I mean, it was great. And it was like, it was less expensive of a cruise, but staff was amazing. It didn't have rotational dining the same way Disney does. We had to pay extra for the soda package.
Right.
I mean, there were differences definitely, but it was less expensive. Would I prefer to sail Disney? Absolutely. I like Disney Cruise Line better,
Okay.
but it was cheaper. And it was a 7-night cruise. We got to go to the same islands, and like,
Yeah, with
Labadee was
carriers,
fine.
like,
Yeah, it was fine.
I will always say, like, if someone said which one are they offering, I'm going to take the Disney cruise. Like, I just feel
Same.
more comfortable on them and I love them.
Okay.
But I was kind of nervous into this, and I went all in, as you know, Ian. I was like, I flew across the
Yeah,
pond.
you were all
I did
in.
2 weeks.
I was like, well, you're going to do to what?
I was like, man, if this first night is bad, I'm nervous for the next 13. But
I know.
it was great. It really was great. And we're gonna do a video kind of talking about some of this. Maybe we'll do a Q&A, grab some questions. But real quick, the biggest difference was the stateroom. And we all know the stateroom is very important. The Disney staterooms like really are more comfortable. I will say, like, the storage was great on our ship on Royal, but like the linens, the bedding, just like how you felt in there, like in the bathroom setup is so much better on a Disney ship. And that's really important when you're considering booking a cruise.
Yeah, I know Mike has talked about that, how you sleep so well on the Disney ships. And I feel that way too, because I don't always sleep great if I'm traveling. And so but when we went on our cruise in July, like I slept so well. That was on the Magic. I slept, I mean, it doesn't matter. I think the beds are probably all the same on the Disney ships, but I felt like you said, the linens were really nice and the bed was just soft and
and don't get me wrong, Royals was still fine. Royals was still fine. I still had great sleeps, but you kind of think like, I could really use a Disney mattress and some bedding tonight.
Okay, so there was a little bit of a difference there. I mean, when you get, and you're younger, way younger than me, Scott, but like my 16-year-old son's not going to notice the difference. But when you're over 50, you notice.
For real. My wife and I both woke up with bad hips this morning. We're like, what did we do? We just went to bed and both of our hips hurt this morning. Like, seriously, all we did was sleep.
I know.
We're like limping this morning.
Injuries, right?
Did we go out like in TP houses for homecoming last night? I don't think so. Like, I mean, but we both woke up with sore hips. I don't know. I know it's bad. Scott laughs. He laughs now. I'm telling you, it's coming.
I'm starting to get there. I swam at a golf club today, and then my knee started hurting.
There you go. That's how you'll sneeze, and you'll be limping for 3 weeks. That's what happens.
I know. I have a friend that one time he threw his back out brushing his teeth, and I was like, how does that happen? Exactly now I get it. I understand.
It's so true. Everybody that's younger, keep laughing. It'll catch up with you. Yep.
So it does. It does. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciated you giving that comparison of the ships or of the cruise lines, and keep putting the content out. I know I don't want to pressure you, but we enjoy, like, now we kind of stalk it. When it comes out, like my husband's like, Scott, he said to me, it was either yesterday or today, he's like, Scott put out another video. I'm like, I know.
It was like 15 days or something. I mean, come on now. Like, that's about to put some pressure on the dude. Yeah.
A little behind the scenes on this one, I lost a lot of my work got like deleted. And when you work on something for a few hours and it goes away, we all know that like hurts. So then you like you're just like want to quit. and like I put it away for a few days, and I was like, this weekend I was like, no, I got to get back into it.
Come on,
My
man.
goal is
You
to start crushing
you have
them.
fans out there, so you have fans relying on you.
Okay,
like
I'm gonna get it out
content.
there. Like I can't promise like a consistent schedule like Mike does, but like I do want to get the rest of this series out quickly. So then, because I'm excited to start recording some more content, you know. So like with the new camera and
Yes.
stuff. So yeah. Plus we have a
Absolutely.
Walt Disney
Well,
World
thank you
trip
for
I want to
doing
film
that.
too. So. Yeah. Well, thank you for watching. I appreciate the support.
Of course. And thanks for letting me talk to you guys. I know you have other phone calls, so
Anytime.
I'll let you guys go.
It's always an honor to talk to you and tell the family we said hello. And, good luck to your Tigers, except for when they come to Como this year.
Man.
All right. We'll see you later. Take care.
Sounds good. All right. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. You too. Bye-bye.
Ian's awesome. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah. So to your question, do you have a positive one? Because like we're very positive people. Like and I saw some great ones in the chat. Someone stole one of mine, was like, what if you told someone in 2011, dang, that's way in the future.
I know
if you
you
told someone that, you know what, Disney's going to own the whole Star Wars franchise, and they're going to build a land on Star Wars. Like you would just be like, what?
I know,
like,
seriously, like they're going to own Star Wars, OWN Star Wars, and then build a whole Star Wars land. I know that one, and Jason had a great one, but we have our next call on the line because the callers are rolling in. So who's joining us?
Hey, Mike, it's Thomas from Cleveland. How you doing?
Hey, it's Todd, you said in Cleveland? Thomas. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Go Navy. What's up?
Yeah, go Navy. Beat Army.
Yes.
Not much. I just wanted to call in. I want to continue the cruise conversation because I did my first cruise back in August. So I've been trying to call in, but I keep missing you guys. I get the notification and I never get online. So,
well, the irony of you talking about a cruise just is beyond ironic because of your position. But go ahead.
It is. Yeah, I was extremely nervous for my first cruise.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
Which ship were you on again? Was it the Wish?
I did the Wish. So we did 4 nights on the Wish.
So give us your thoughts for folks that are out there curious.
Oh yeah. So we did. So I fully intended this to be my one and only cruise. I didn't know if I would enjoy it. So we did a 1-bedroom concierge level, and that was a huge mistake because we had such a great time. I don't know how we're not going to go back to that.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to sail in a standard inside after that, I would say.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's going to happen. So, saving up for the next one.
Oh my gosh.
But we had a great time. I was in the middle of writing you a trip report, but like listening to all these other trip reports, I think our trip was kind of boring comparably, but I just wanted to get my thoughts. Concierge was worth every penny. It was amazing. That level of service, it was just awesome. I mean, it was great. I didn't worry about anything. Great cast members, great crew members. It was an unbelievably awesome time on board the ship. I was shocked that I thought I was gonna be like inspecting it the entire time. I almost forgot I was out at sea, except when I headed out to the veranda or on deck. But absolutely amazing. If you ever get a chance, I highly recommend doing a concierge room on board one of the Disney cruise.
I'm afraid to, Thomas, because I'm going to end up in your situation.
Yes, yeah. There's certain things you just like. I've toured those on ship inspections, like with the agency. We got to tour the concierge staterooms, and I'm just like, I got to take this out. I mean, it's great for my clients, like when they ask questions and stuff. I'm like, I got to get this out of my mind because they're so awesome. I'm just like, for one, I can't let my wife see these. Like, I mean, it's a whole different level of stateroom when you go up there with like the TVs and the mirrors and all that stuff, and just I mean, it is so fancy. Oh my gosh, they're so nice.
The bathroom's nicer than our primary bedroom bathroom.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to get out of the bathroom.
Exactly. It's so fancy.
Were there any cast members that like stood out to you, Thomas? Because like I personally feel like the best of the best. I mean, all Disney cast members are fantastic. I've said for years, I feel like the best of the best is on Disney Cruise Line. Did any moments or memories that you want to share with like an awesome cast member?
Well, so one, yeah, like every single one of the concierge cast members were amazing. And they knew us by face. I mean, our first night, a cast member I didn't even like meet before, as soon as I walked in, good evening, Mr. Thomas. Like everything was Mr. Thomas, Miss Lillian, Miss Regina. Like they knew us by face, like, and we barely even interacted with them at that point on the cruise. So a couple of standouts was we did Palo brunch, my wife and I, on our sea day. So we didn't eat at all that morning.
Smart.
Wanted to
There you
save up
go.
for
Good
Palo.
move.
But we dropped our daughter off at the concierge lounge, and they have a little menu there for like lunch and breakfast and stuff like that. They don't have pizza on the menu, but she wanted a pizza, so they went down to the pool deck and got her a pizza while we went up to Palo.
Nice.
And lost and found, my wife accidentally balled up my daughter's T-shirts. It was like one of those, Pinterest shirts my wife gets for all her Disney vacations. Accidentally balled it up with a towel and threw it in the towel. I went down to concierge, and that night it was sitting in our stateroom.
Wow.
It's just anything you need, you just go right to the concierge. It's no different than guest services. It's just the wait. You don't really have to wait.
You're at the top
they
of the
were
list.
they were amazing.
For a second, Thomas, though, I thought for like a half a second, I was hoping that you were going to say they brought her a pizza from Palo instead of like the pool deck for the concierge. Like that would have been epic.
Well, I don't know. They might have. We weren't there.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. You weren't there. Let's just pretend it was from Palo. Yeah.
But you know what? Kids might like the pizza from the pool deck better than the flatbread from Palo, which is a shame because that pizza, I would right now pay $50 for a pizza from Palo because that stuff is so good.
So good.
Oh, man.
So we did not do the pizza, but I think we did pretty much everything else on the menu. But Palo was absolutely amazing, I think. And like, I know you said once, like the brunch is just your best value. We love the brunch.
It's
So
my
good.
best meal that I have every year. Like if I have one good meal, like my best meal I have every year is the brunch on Palo. That's my best meal every year. I mean, no doubt, because I have the chicken parm and I always have the lasagna. And I always have an eggs Benedict. I mean, I eat big, and then we have all the desserts. I mean, because the serving sizes aren't that big. So
it's hard to deny that fact. I mean, that is just some of the best meals I ever had.
It's so good.
Well, yeah, and the waiter just like walked us through everything. Made recommendations. Paired the wine perfectly. It was just there was everything about it was. I mean, Palo is a top-notch experience.
I was going to ask if you did wine at brunch. Yeah, glad to hear you did the wine too, because that is spectacular. Like their wine offerings with brunch. Whew. Then you went and took a big fat nap on deck 4 or something, right?
No, I did a big fat nap on the concierge Sunday.
Oh,
no, yes.
Oh, yes.
Nobody's bugging him.
Those of us that have like a family crammed in one of those small staterooms had to find separation.
That's
you
right. We have the people jogging past us like every time.
Oh, that's even better. I love it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the amount of money that the stateroom cost, I was taking advantage of that.
You got that right. I'd have been right with you. You did it right.
Honestly, I'm guessing maybe you went to Castaway Cay as well if you got off the ship, but it would have been hard for me to get off that ship, honestly, if I had that stateroom.
I agree.
We did Castaway Cay. We did so we were also there during what was that, Debbie the hurricane in early August, or the tropical storm, which surprisingly didn't affect the ship at all. But it did affect the weather in our ports. But we went snorkeling. We made the mistake of going very far out to go see all of the, underwater, whatever you call them, during snorkeling. We went too far out, and we forgot we have to get back. So we were kind of tired, and we only spent about half the time on Castaway Cay. But it was beautiful. We loved it. And then it started raining. It rained a little bit. But yeah, we went back onto the ship, and actually that was a great time. We did the Aqua Mouse. There was like no one there.
That is a good
I think
time
we
when
did it
everybody
like
else
3
is
or 4
on the
times
island.
each.
Yeah. Does that not remind you of like the combination of a water slide and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway? That's totally what it reminds me of.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's like you're just getting wet on Mickey and Minnie.
Exactly. It's like, let's make a water slide, but it's Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at the same time.
Is there anything concierge on the island? I was trying to think about that. Like, is there like any special perks on the island for concierge guests?
Uh-uh.
So.
Not that they told us. I don't really think there is. The only real perk for the island would be you're pretty much not going to get a cabana unless you're concierge.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. That's it. You're right.
Concierge and possibly they trickle down to platinum sometimes.
Yeah.
Or
I
pearl,
mean, I think I read the email wrong where because we could book all of our excursions or reservations or anything, ahead of time, but we have to email concierge staff. And I didn't get a cabana, but it was kind of funny because there was a family right in front of us when we walked into the lounge, and they wound up getting a cabana that day on embarkation day.
Oh wow, that's really
that's rare.
They got lucky. You better not tell anybody.
Yeah, yeah. So, but on the island, I don't think there really is anything special for us. If there was, they never mentioned it to us, and we didn't know.
Yeah.
Other than getting off early, we got to get off as soon as they were ready. We were able to get off, which was also an amazing perk. Getting off of the ship. I mean, they have an elevator that they have the key to that they basically just hold for the concierge guests. And you walk into the lounge, you have your breakfast, you say, "Hey, I'm ready to leave," and they walk you to the elevator and they take you right down, no stops, right from 13 down to the gangway. They just escort you right off.
Nice.
So
it's like a lightning lane.
That was it's better than a VIP tour. Like,
Yeah.
They literally just walk you off the ship. They bypass everyone. You can get off the ship. Go ahead. Thanks for coming.
That's great.
And we were going to the Poly that day, so it was nice. I just hopped in my rental car and, we were in the Poly. We checked in. They actually had a room available for us, and we were taking naps by like 11 o'clock.
Oh man, that's gold on that check-in day.
That is gold
because it could be 5 o'clock sometimes 4 or 5 o'clock before you're in your room.
That's usually the case for the gardeners.
Yeah, same here. Exactly. I'm taking a nap, but it's by the pool and it's 100 degrees. I'm just like, oh, come on, please give me a notification.
Did you go into the parks at all on your trip, Thomas, or was it just a day to chill at the Poly?
We didn't. No. My wife started school the Monday we got back, so we got off the ship Friday, stayed the night in the Poly just because I didn't want to run to the airport or deal with that. Mm-hmm. But she started school on Monday, so I had originally planned like a whole 3-day, long weekend, go to the parks like Saturday, Sunday, fly home Monday. But I'm sure Mike understands. He gets it. Like she was in as soon as we landed on, in Cleveland, she went full blown. I got to get ready for school mode.
100%. As soon as she got off that ship, she was starting to think about, okay, got to get all this mentally. Yeah, it's taxing. But yeah, I mean, that's a good way to wrap up the summer though. Yeah. It's a great way to bring it home. Let's finish summer that way. Yeah. Smart.
Yeah.
My wife needs to not hear all this.
Turned me into a cruiser.
So you would do it again? So
I'm sorry.
It's interesting though, because that was your first ship, the Wish. Now we're going to have the Treasure and the Destiny coming online here shortly. But then you also have all the classic, you got the Magic and the Wonder, the Dream and the Fantasy to explore. You got a lot of options to check out next time. What are you thinking about?
I would love to do the classic ships only because, I wish I could have sailed on well, I shouldn't say the Titanic, but the Olympic, the classic age of steamship, transatlantic. And I just looking at the pictures, the Dream or the Wonder, those classic ships are like that perfect Art Deco style, which is just me.
Yeah. You'd like the Magic and the Wonder. Yeah. Those two ships are just, and here's the thing I get consistently from our guests that sail on those ships. And I've sailed both of them too. I mean, way back the Magic, I sailed in 98. The Wonder I sailed when Mallory was 7. We did a Mexican cruise. And the thing you get about those is the staff loves sailing those ships. And there's so few guests compared to like the Wish, the Dream, and the Fantasy because they're so much smaller. is that there's not such a competition for things like polo, or when you're on the island seems kind of deserted compared to when you're sailing on one of the bigger ships. You know, if you're used to sailing the bigger ships, it just feels like, oh wow, there's not as many people around, and it's kind of nice because I'm one that I do kind of prefer the bigger ships myself. Like the Fantasy's my favorite ship, to be honest. But when you go back to the Magic or the Wonder, there's the staff. They tend to be like on that ship for years and years. They just love that ship and the smaller group. You know, the smaller amount of people on ship is a bonus.
Oh, I'm sure that checks. It's the crew's probably tighter, you know, because there's less of them, so they're probably a much, you know, more cohesive group and love working with each other. So
that's what we hear.
I totally believe that.
Yep, I can't wait to be on the Magic again in July. That'll be fun. God, it's been 27. It'll be 27 years in between cruises. Holy smokes!
It's crazy to think that ship is that old.
I know.
You know,
seriously.
But it looks so beautiful still.
It does. Yeah, that'll be
nuts.
Oh,
trust me, I still work on ships that were built in the 40s up here on the lakes. So,
wow.
She's young.
Well, the way they take them
Magic's young in comparison. Yeah.
Well, I would guess. I mean, the way I see it is they take them into dry dock basically a lot of times and kind of rebuild them like throughout their lifespan, right? I mean, they just keep, you know, like, I mean, the hull and everything's the same, but I mean, they keep retrofitting them, and sometimes they make them bigger, stretch them out, add stuff. It's, I think sometimes it's like it's the same ship in name only. Eventually,
every year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that she's probably a very good ship.
I will trust her. I can't wait to be back.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I mean, highly, yeah, like I said, it ruined me. I screwed up by going big the first time. I should have started off small.
My mistake was just a veranda on our honeymoon, and we have to have verandas now for the rest of my life. But at least I didn't go concierge. So, Thomas, I only went halfway. So, and I'm not going concierge because I cannot do that.
Yeah,
maybe you go concierge will be your last.
Exactly, I'll be done. You just totally saved my life with this call. Can't do it.
I don't know how. Like, it is. I don't know how I would.
It would
not
ruin us.
Do that. So.
Well, hey, we appreciate the call,
I wish you
Thomas.
warned me.
I know, I appreciate it. Great feedback. We're going to try to sneak in one more call here before the top of the hour, but thanks for calling, and don't be a stranger. Guess what? I think I'll be watching the Army-Navy game this year at sea, so I'll be cheering for your midshipmen.
All right, go Navy, beat Army.
That's right. All right, we'll talk to you later. Thank you so much, buddy.
Talk to you later.
Have a good week. All right, bye.
Oh, go Tigers.
You too.
Tigers could match up with the Guardians potentially.
Oh yeah, playoffs start tomorrow, right?
Tigers.
Nope. We have our last call today, and who's joining us?
Mike, Scott, hello. It's Paul from New Jersey.
It is Paul from New Jersey, and it is Scott over there with the spider dangling above his head, and it's Mike here in Missouri. What's
Love
up?
it. Love the decorations.
Yeah, we try.
How you guys doing? I just Scott, sorry it's sorry it's Ohio State. Mike, I'm sure you enjoyed the bye week. It's a tough week for Scott though, but it is what it is. I'm really worried about how you guys are doing, fundraisers, homecoming dances. I'm with you guys. I got your backs. Everything going okay with that late high school experience?
It's all good till prom, I guess. It is what it is now. Homecomings are behind us. I mean, Scott's got the senior year thing going on. At least I'm in the junior year.
We got so much
thing
going on. We've done a senior photo shoot in Nashville. We're about to do one in town next week. We're going to do a capture your way. Might as well do a Walt Disney World photo session as well. So lots of photos, lots of new outfits. We're getting ready. We got marching band festivals, last marching band games to worry about. It's going to be happening all year long, Paul. I feel it.
Yeah, it's a long melancholy experience, but it's very memorable.
For sure.
I know it's late. I caught you guys late. Thank you for taking me in. I had one question. I've been delinquent in getting on the calls, as Mike pointed out last week. Scott, I'm glad I got you this time too. This is a question I wanted to ask you guys for the couple months, and then what I'll do is I'll say my goodnight. I know it's late, and you guys can talk it out. You guys could table it till next week, whatever. But it's something I've really wanted to know. Going back a couple months, bring on flash the memories. I'm sure it won't be hard to do. And Scott, again, great job on the vlog. I'm about halfway through this week's show, loving it.
Thank you.
You're both vacations this summer. Mike, your cruise, Scott, your vacation. If you could have been there for each other with one experience, one thing you remember that you're like, Mike, you'd be like, oh man, I wish I was there when Scott did this, or vice versa, Scott. What would it have been? I'll say goodnight. I wish you guys a great week. And I want you guys to please brainstorm that, because I'd love to hear those answers, because I love living those vacations, but I would have loved to hear which one you'd like to be there for each other.
Great question, Paul. And I've got my answer right away. So we'll answer that right now before we close out today's show. But hey, have a great week, and give us a call next week before the top.
Go Scarlet Knights too. Go Scarlet Knights. Good job by Rutgers.
Thanks. That was a good win.
They're rolling.
I'm happy, next week at Nebraska, I'll take one at a time. I'm just happy to chalk them up. I'll actually be in Disney next week. Maybe I'll try to give you a call from Disney. I'll be there till from Thursday or Wednesday to Sunday.
Do it.
That'd be fantastic. Where are you staying? DVC, Saratoga? What you doing?
We're at DVC. We're at Saratoga, and we're not doing a Halloween party or anything like that. We're just hitting the food and wine, and then just getting a couple things in. Just me and the wife.
Nothing wrong with that.
That'd be awesome. I'd be there. We'd love to get some thoughts on some favorite food booths, things like that, live from the scene. So that'd be great.
The phone line will be waiting for you. The hotline will be ready.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Yep. Safe travels
Take
down.
care.
We'll see you. Talk to you. Okay, Paul.
Thank you.
So let me answer mine real quick, because that was obvious. I told this to Pam 100 times this summer. I would have killed to have been on that ship when you were in when you had that crown and you won that contest. Like, yes. I told my wife this so many times. I was like, God, I'd have paid $200 to be in the crowd when they were like silly. That dude was singing to you. He was putting the cape on you. You had the crown on your head. I was like, God, I'd have paid big money to be in the crowd to see that in person. That was the time, dude. Cause you're like, I'm going to win this game. I'm going to win this Name That Tune. And you did. And you were like Elvis, man. Yeah. I kept telling Pam, that was the one thing I wanted to be on that ship.
Those were the things those were like the moments where like, I thought about you too a lot. like when we were doing, oh my God, I'm not going to put all this stuff in the vlog episodes. They would be super long and maybe boring for others, but we're doing trivias and all this stuff like all the time. And like, that's always our thing, you and me on the ships. And we'd like be stumped on the question. I'm like, oh man, I feel like Mike would have known this one, or like, oh man, Mike would be loving this. Like we said that a lot on the ship, honestly. And that was obviously that was a top tier one. It took me back to like the when I was hypnotized.
We still talk about that. Yeah, we still talk about that all the time.
Yeah, but for outside of like having the best meal of the year at Apollo, because I would have loved to have been in on that, or even like, I'll just say like I was jealous of something you told me. I don't know if I really told you this, and it wasn't like hurt feelings. It was just jealous. But I was like, you kind of had like another sidekick on that cruise. There's this guy, like this younger guy. You said like that was an evolution or the tube all the time. That like I think like he was kind of rowdy too. Like he would kind of get crazy. I think he was like with like a big family reunion.
Yeah, I can't even remember what his name was now. He wasn't that close to me, dude. He was just the guy, because like I didn't have a sidekick, but he was in Evolution every night. Or no, the Tube, not Evolution. That's on the Dream.
Tube, yeah.
The Tube. And he was like the only guy out of his whole family. Nick, his name was Nick. And he was always lubricated with drinks. And he would always cheer me on. Like whenever I was at any of the game shows or anything, like whenever I was up front, he'd always be like, Mike, Mike, Mike. And so like it was either him or I that was always in one of the game shows. So like when he would get up there, I'd sit with his family, Pam and I, and I'd be like, Nick. And so we were kind of adopted by his family. So yeah, we just, you make friends in the club at night, and all the, the silly game shows. And so, yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was worried he was going to miss the ship one time in one of the ports.
My boy needed me because he had his daughter, he had like a niece, or your wife, like you were just by yourself, man. I felt like I needed to be there.
Dude, cruises are more fun with you.
Excursion wise and activity wise, like I would have loved. I've never gone ziplining. I would have loved to do the ziplining with you. And was that like Torto?
Yeah, that was.
I would have loved to have been doing that with you. That would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, we would do that.
We would have had a riot, like going up in that church bus or whatever, like up that hill. Like I would have been making you nervous, telling jokes and all that. It would have been a lot of fun.
You would not have wanted to be in that church bus, dude. It needed a transmission so bad, and I thought we were going to be out pushing that thing, and I'm just like, oh man. we're halfway up this mountain and this thing's like, I was like, oh, this is not
you know
gonna
what
happen.
Paul's saying here though is that we did summer vacations not together. We
We
got to
need
get
it.
the band back together. Man. We got to.
I've been thinking this all ever since the summer. We have to do this. Like we've been misaligned here too much lately.
We have been misaligned. Yeah, like we were on a good stretch. You
We
know,
were for years.
like even like with the Run Disney and all that
Yep.
stuff too. But we'll align the stars again.
We
It's gotta
will.
happen.
Yeah, there's a lot. We're definitely gonna make.
We got
it
crazy
happen.
years going on too.
We
Like, I
do.
mean, I
We
got
got-
the senior year, then you're gonna
Yep.
have the senior
I
year, the
know.
next
The
year, and then
cheerleading
finally, I
and
think
the
we'll get on
band.
a good cadence.
We'll make it happen. Yep. And yeah, because I got
Maybe that podcast cruise. I still look at it, man, and I think like,
dude, you got.
we're talking about the
make it
Magic
happen.
tonight. I'm like, I haven't been on that ship. I want to get on that ship.
Yes, you need to absolutely because it's going to be fun. I mean, going to Lighthouse Point. It's gonna
I
be
know.
Mike Bankhead and everybody. It's gonna be it's gonna be fun. Hey, we got wrapped though because my wife wants to walk 2 miles and it's pitch black outside. So
Yeah, if you've been watching, like, I should get a time
I've
lapse
been watching
on
your
mine.
window. It's the same way outside mine too. And so we
You
got
were
wrapped.
commenting on like the neighborhood and like the sunset, and like, look, it's gone.
Real quick though, back to topic that we had an hour ago. Laura says 2 things we would not have believed that were gone Magical Express and paid lightning lanes. 2 good things, of course. Skyline. That would have been Jason mentioned that earlier. That's what I was going to talk about 30 minutes ago. Skyliner. Like that is the coolest thing that would have blown me away. If you just show me video of the Skyliner in 2011, I'd have said, "Oh my God, that is the coolest thing in the history of the world," because it still is. It's still the absolute coolest transportation system. Yes, that is good. And mobile ordering. I agree.
I wrote down one too that
Yes.
if you would have interviewed someone in Epcot in like 2011 and said, you know what, there's going to be a roller coaster in this park, and it's going to be Marvel themed, like a Marvel roller coaster
Eat a
in Florida
ticket.
and Epcot, like that, you would be like, no, you're lying. They can't put a Marvel coaster in Epcot because of these rules. And like, why would Epcot have a roller coaster like that? And then I think it's a great thing. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and Epcot's going to have, I mean, not only that, but it's going to be like one of the most, thrilling attractions in all of Central Florida. It's not going to be like some like,
you would never
like
think Epcot would have
mid-tier.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
It
it's
doesn't fit the
wild.
vibe, right?
Right.
But they do.
I mean, because there's a lot of good, you'd have blown people away in 2011 with a lot of good. It's not always negative, but I mean, there are some things. I mean, this is how life is, right? I mean, but it is kind of funny if you had gone up to him and said, look, here's some pictures of how things are going to be in 2024. Like you just totally freak people out, that they'd be like, what? But I was thinking about that. Anyway, we're going to get out of here, but we'll be back again next Sunday night and hope you will be too. We go live at 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch, and hope you'll join us and give us a call. We'll continue the conversation there. We appreciate everybody who called in tonight to make this show awesome. It's always fun to get our community together and have these live call-in shows. Don't forget, our podcasts are always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure, whether it's to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney. The best part, no additional cost to you. First class service each and every time. Check out all the details right now over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our Patreon supporters. You guys make the show possible. Thank you so much for that. Just $5 a month, and you get our bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. This week we talked about Sunday afternoons in the fall as a kid. It was just a great time to get out there, play a little Nerf football in the neighborhood, ride your bike around that elementary school in the neighborhood. It was kind of magical to be up there. Like school wasn't in session, play on the playground. We just talked about things, about homecoming events that happened here in town. It's a fun little sideshow. $5 a month. You support the podcast, get a bonus show every week. So come on over patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Now you need to follow Scott on the socials at Epscott, EPSCOT, all the places. But the biggest place you got to go to is over to YouTube to Must See Adventures to check out all his latest videos. Scotty G, fill everybody in one more time with what they're going to see right now.
Well, right now you're going to see a video of us in Belgium. We wrapped up our first cruise. We did back-to-back on Royal Caribbean. So we finished up the Norway-Belgium cruise. So we've spent a day in Ghent, canal boats, time in the city. I never thought of Ghent as like a destination, a place to go. And spoiler alert, I fell in love with it and I can't wait to go back. Like it was unbelievably awesome. So go check it out. We have some time on the cruise too. We play some trivias. We do some dining. I have a little message at the end of the video, so check that out, a little update. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and thanks, Mike, for plugging the show. And I have a whole nother week's worth of cruising to share, plus Disneyland Paris too. Like, can't wait to share Disneyland Paris with you all.
DLP. And you know that was a stop also on the Amazing Race.
Ghent was?
Yes, they carted around frites is one of the challenges.
That port was interesting too. Like, so we were like in Norway where you had these gorgeous ports, right? You're like right there, like you walk off the ship and boom, you're in town. You see all these mountains, and we go to Zeebrugge, and it's like this very like industrial, like we talk about in the episode, like almost every car in Europe comes through that port. Like, and almost like I think every Bridgestone tire is like there's a tire factory right there. So there's a lot of different going to that industrial, and we had the options to go to Bruges, which I've heard of, or Ghent. And honestly, we went with Ghent because we found like a pretty affordable, like cheap, like excursion, like last minute, like, oh, let's do that. It's the right price. And it was unbelievable. It was so great.
That's so cool.
Go give it a watch. I think you'll like it.
And Carolyn, out in California, headed over to the YouTube channel right now. Check it out. You should too. Wherever you're at today, checking this out on Thursday on the feed. Hey, after you listen to our show and you've just listened to it, check it out today over on YouTube, youtube.com. Well, do you have you got that? Because I can't remember how that all works with YouTube. We just
I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. Yeah, but
sometimes
just,
you have it.
If you just search Must See
Adventures, I know, because it takes like so many subscribers.
And how do we come up with the name? We had a troll once, Mike. That like I know it's hard to look at feedback and comments, but we had a guy troll us once. He's like, "Why are you called Must See Adventures? I don't want to see you. I want to see your adventures." And I'm thinking, like, most people that vlog and share their adventures, like, put the camera on them to share their thoughts, right? Like, it's just not going to be like, not us. So I had to explain, like, well, the C stands for Scott, Elizabeth, Emily, must see, you know. Yeah. And they're like, no, I don't care. I don't want to see you. I'm like, okay, well, you don't have to watch.
You're out of here. Okay, go watch football.
It's free, bro. You don't have to watch.
That's how I feel too, dude. I'm not charging you anything. Close your eyes. Exactly.
So,
anyway,
thanks for the support, Mike, and sharing it. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait to
you do awesome, man. I appreciate it. All right. Also, let's see. We'll have the shows coming out this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for you. And I'm at Be Our Guest Mike on the socials. Love to connect with you over there. All right, we're going to be out of here and connect with you this week on the shows. But until then, I just hope you have a great week. So for Scotty G up in Michigan, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.